Welcome back to Breaking Bread with Stafford Shurden. My special guest today, I've always called him Mr. Mike, but Mike Ellis, a lot of people know him as Mike Ellis in the Hometown Band or the Hometown Boys. I've heard both, right?
Either way.
And worked for Sanders Seed Company for many years.
30 years.
30 years, and we have him as our guest today. But the coolest thing is he's been playing music, I'm going to guess, over 60 years.
About 60.
That's pretty wild, so we definitely want to talk about that. And we're here at the restaurant today. We both ordered Promised Land croissant sandwiches, so we're waiting on those to come out. Man, I'm glad to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
And this is a lot easier than pulling a grain wagon on the farm.
Yeah.
Because he helped me a few years ago,
Yeah,
a couple years back.
a lot easier than dodging those exhaust pipes on those trucks with the auger.
Yeah. We just said, how many years have you been playing music?
60.
60 on the nose?
Yeah. I started when I was 13. I'm 73.
I was guessing 12 or 13 you had to have been playing.
Well, I mean, I actually started playing just individually when I was about 11. But I didn't start playing in a band until I was 13.
What was the name of the first band?
The Wonders.
Like the number one? Or
No, the Wonders,
O-N-E or
W-O-N-D-E-R-S.
W-O-N-D? Okay. The Wonders.
Yeah, there was only three of us. I played trumpet, Berger Young played drums, Glenn Lowitz played clarinet and piano.
What kind of music did y'all play
We
back
did
then?
a lot of Al Hurt stuff, Herb Albert, and just popular songs that we just picked up that somebody might know, and we'd teach the other one what it was.
How long?
Yeah.
What was your first paid gig?
In Webb, we played for Glenda Browning's brother's birthday party, and Miss Browning paid us for doing that.
That's pretty
But the
fun.
first gig I actually played for was a birthday party for Melinda Maxwell there in Webb at her parents' house. But we didn't get paid for that. We just did it out of the goodness of our heart.
Right.
We were just glad to get to play.
And through the years, y'all have evolved some, but some of those guys you played with a long time.
Oh yeah, Billy Kent and Mike Ray. I played with them probably 50 years, and they've both passed away.
Right. Good guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we
Best.
miss them.
The best.
Oh, thank you. So those,
Thank you.
you hadn't been here and had the hot pickles, I don't think, but these pickles are kind of hot. Just
Oh,
a
okay.
fair warning.
That's fine. I like hot pickles.
I do too. That sandwich I have not had a Promised Land sandwich. This was the original sandwich on the menu, and I have not had one in years because I get hung up on the other stuff. But it's cheat day for me. I'm kind of,
Yeah,
my wife says I'm on a diet. You know how that is.
I call myself on one too. I've been going to the gym about 3 times a week, about the past 5 weeks, I guess.
How'd you break your ankle?
Well, I was riding a horse I was not familiar with, and I got on him, and as soon as I got on him, he started bucking and putting on the rodeo show.
And he won.
And he won. And I was actually staying on him. I hadn't come off, but all of a sudden he switched hard to the right, and I went to the left, and my foot got hung in the stirrup.
So the stirrup
And,
is really what got you there.
Yeah, and he was continued to buck, and it knocked me out. And I woke up about 30 yards from where I started out.
Oh, goodness.
And I guess it kicked to my foot out of the stirrup. I really don't know. All I know is I couldn't get up.
Oh, goodness. Were you by yourself?
Yeah, I was by myself.
That was not good, was it?
That was not a good idea. I learned a lesson. You don't ever get on an unfamiliar horse by yourself when no one's around. Luckily, I did have my phone, and I called for help. And that's a good sandwich.
It really is. I forgot how good it was.
But it took a while. We had the operation, and about 2 weeks later, got infected. We had to go in there and do the whole thing over again.
Oh. I broke my ankle falling out of a tree, but I was a lot younger than I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And thank goodness it all went really smooth. Because that operation's no fun. I thought I had remembered you talking about touring in Europe. How old were y'all when that went down?
I was 29.
Oh, that's a good age to do it, isn't it?
Yeah. And that was in 1981.
81. So you were in Germany. It was still East and West Germany then.
Oh, yeah. And they gave us a Mercedes bus with a driver who could speak both German and English. So that was really convenient.
Yeah.
And we also had a guide that showed the driver where to go. And he did take us down to the border of East Germany. And there were guards everywhere. And they come on the bus with machine guns and check everybody out, see if you had any weapons or see if you might be a terrorist. It was pretty weird.
That is weird. How did y'all end up with that gig?
Well, we had played at the Mid-South Fair. It's just one thing led to another. And to start off with, we had entered this contest at WMPS Country Radio in Memphis. And we won that contest. And if you win the contest, you're chosen as the WMPS Showcase Band for a year. And every time the radio station would have big public events, well, they would get us to play. And of course, that led to some other pretty big gigs in Memphis that we played at. And hey, how you doing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, enjoy the lunch, y'all.
Hi.
Thank you.
Be good.
Be careful.
All right.
So we were playing at the Mid-South Fair, and there's a lady who runs the organization who hires bands for the Department of Defense was there and heard us.
So this was a government gig then?
It was.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, we were actually working for the Department of Defense, and they actually gave us a government service number, a rating. We were rated as a GS-12.
What's that mean? I don't even know.
Well, in the government work, you are rated on the scale, I guess, from starting at 1 and on up the ladder, sort of like ranks in the Army. They told me that was about equivalent to a major in the Army.
That's pretty good rank for a band member, isn't it?
Yeah.
So were y'all playing like military bases and stuff like that? What you were doing?
Yeah. In fact, that's pretty much all we did.
That's pretty neat.
Our duty was to play missile sites and CEOs. We'd play some little missile site on top of a mountain. It'd be snowing up there. It wouldn't be snowing where we were, but I asked the driver one day, I said, where are we playing? He said, look out the window, you see the snow cap up there? And that's where we're going. And we did, and some of the places had never had entertainment.
Really?
It was so remote and so far away, they'd never had it. So there may be only 25 people or so on that base. And I remember one time we set up in a wash rack, played for 25 people.
How long were y'all there?
Well, the whole tour lasted 7 weeks. We spent the first week in the Azore Islands
Oh, cool.
in the Atlantic, which is mainly a fuel point for aircraft coming across. And from there, we went to Frankfurt, Germany. And from there, we just toured all over southern Germany. Kind of made a big semicircle around southern Germany.
At that point, were you pretty much making a living being a musician?
Pretty much, yeah. That was mainly what I was doing and had been doing for a good little while.
Didn't y'all put out did y'all put out a country album, right? Did I make that
Well,
up? Or a single maybe?
We did We did a couple of singles. One was done in Nashville, and one was done in Memphis. But several years later, I guess maybe 15 years ago, we did a CD.
I got to CD
Yeah, and it
on
was-
the river.
Yeah.
What was the name of that one?
Rocking on the River.
Can you still get that?
Yeah, I've still got some copies. I had some more made.
Okay, cool.
Well, I was actually farming while we had gone to Germany. We went in the winter.
Oh, that worked out great, didn't it?
It did.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
I got back in April, planted my crop, and made a crop that year.
Things were different then, I guess.
Yeah.
It seems like the farming takes more and more of the time now throughout the year.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong about that?
No, I think you're right. Of course, it's always a lot better to get rolled up in the fall, especially on
Now.
heavier land, than burn down in the spring and then plant.
We didn't do that back then.
Oh,
though.
no.
Ripped it all open at the end of the year and just left it that way.
Yeah, and then started trying to do most of the tillage in the spring,
Right.
which is not a good idea on heavy land.
We don't do any of that anymore. I think about how hard we worked, ripping that ground open and then leaving it all winter, and how hard we had to work to get it ready in the spring. And now, a lot of mine no till.
Oh,
We just
yeah.
drop right in on the old rows.
That's the best
It gives
way
you
to
more
do it.
time to play music.
And it is the best way.
And y'all are still playing, or y'all do mostly private parties, or do y'all do some public
I have
events?
some of both. We don't play as much as we used to. But we still play some at various places. We belong to the Delta Roots in Cleveland. It's an organization whereby they hire bands. They try to have entertainment every night of the week
In Cleveland?
in Cleveland, somewhere in Cleveland. And so sometimes I play over there maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks.
That's still a pretty good bit for
Yeah.
for 60 years in. Did you think, was there ever any part you just thought, I'm going to do this the rest of my life? Or
Well,
Because-
at one time I wanted to, but
were you still doing it though?
yeah. I had the opportunity to do that once through Conway Twitty's manager. I actually went to Nashville and met with him up there. Conway's mother got me the appointment, Miss Jenkins.
Really?
Yeah. She used to own a nightclub called Conway's at Moon Lake.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
So Conway Twitty's mama owned a nightclub at Moon Lake.
Yeah, it's kind of a supper club.
Neat. I don't know how that slipped my
Yeah.
knowledge, but
Yeah.
it makes sense since he's from that area.
Yeah. And used to, Conway would come in there every now and then, but he never came in when we were playing. But we all got to know Miss Jenkins really well. We started playing there when we were 15 years old. We weren't old enough to even be in the place. So our parents would go with us. And they went about 3 times, and finally Miss Jenkins told them, said, y'all parents don't have to come with these boys if you don't want to. She said, I'll take care of them. Y'all don't need to worry about being here. And she did. You know, if
That's awesome.
we wanted to get a hamburger and French fries, she'd fix it for us. And we'd sit down and have supper before we played.
And she must have taken a liking to you if she got you the appointment in Nashville.
Yeah, she did. And she knew this man personally, and she set the appointment, and I went up there, and he said, well, what we can do, I can put you to work individually. He said, I can't work the whole band right now. But what you'll do is just travel all over the country, sitting in with other bands and doing a solo act. Well, I thought about it, but I didn't really want to travel by myself and not have my own band with me anyways. So I turned it down.
So was it, a lot of it was about the camaraderie you guys had?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, that's interesting. I knew you'd have some good liners, but I didn't know Conway Twitty was going to come up with
Yeah.
that. You told me one time, I asked you, I don't know if you remember that, but I asked you, had you ever played in a place that had chicken wire? You remember what
People
you
have
told
asked
me?
me that before. I said I played in some places that I wish we had chicken wire. But no, we've never had any chicken wire up there.
What's the biggest bar fight you ever saw doing that? I know it's been some good ones.
There was a place right outside of Clarksdale called the Italian American Club. And
That sounds tough.
yeah, but it was mostly young people, and we were playing there one night, and some guys got into a fight, and it turned into Coahoma County against Tallahatchie County. And,
And there's some tough boys from both places.
oh yeah, and I'm telling you, they're about tore the walls down in that place.
What's the biggest crowd you ever played?
Probably the Orpheum Theater in Memphis.
Oh, that's a cool place too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we played there twice. Once as a showcase program that WMPS radio had, and Steve Warner played with us up there.
Oh.
Remember him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the acts. We were one of the acts. And there's several others. There was a girl, I can't remember her name, but there's probably 5 acts. And there was a big crowd there.
Yeah, that place holds a good many people.
Yeah. And then we played for the Memphis Songwriters Association in the Orpheum Theater. And they had several people that had written some good songs, and they would pick a winner of the song, but they had to have a band to play it. And so we were chosen as the band to play songs for 2 different writers up there. And 2 of the songs that we played won first and third. But Anna Marie was playing with us at that time.
Oh,
She
yeah?
she went to Germany with us too.
Oh, I didn't know Anna Marie went with y'all. That's we were just talking about her, and for those that listening that don't know, that's my cousin Anna Marie Shurden that we're talking about, who can still pick a guitar up and get on it pretty good.
Still got a beautiful voice.
She
too.
does. I did not know she went to Germany with y'all. Oh, she's gonna love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet she's already screaming when she listens to it. I was with them in Germany. You know? Yeah. Do you think that, I wondered about the music scene, because when we had the restaurant in Louisville, we were doing music every Wednesday night. You think it's a better scene today, or was it better back it seems like there's fewer musicians now. Or do you think?
I think you're right. I think what created so many musicians all over America was the advent of the Beatles.
You think so?
Yeah,
A lot of people wanted to be part of that.
Yeah, they enjoyed watching them on TV, and then of course other English bands, the English Invasion, British Invasion. You've heard of that,
Right.
It inspired a lot of American boys to want to sing and play guitar too.
So not just sing, but be in a band,
Yeah,
because they were the full deal.
yeah.
I really didn't think about it, but even some of the folk stuff, if you listen, it's got a little bit of a Beatles sound sometimes.
Well, the Beatles occasionally would play something with a
They
little
would.
of a country rhythm to it.
They would.
After they hired us to go to Germany and play for the troops, they told us, well, you're going to need to get you a girl singer.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah. They said,
So y'all
those
recruited Anna Marie?
soldiers want to look at a girl singer up there on the stage.
That's awesome.
And
I don't know how I didn't know Anna Marie was part of that, but I did not know that.
yeah, she was a trooper too.
And that was definitely the musical side of the Shurden family, because Tommy could play
And Bobby.
and Bobby could play and sing beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
every now and then somebody will send me a YouTube of Bobby singing. You know, there's several YouTube that it'd just be his picture with him singing in the background. Cause he had a beautiful voice.
He had several CDs.
He did. All that, you know, and he learned to speak Spanish and would go down and do missionary work in Mexico and sing in Spanish down
Really?
there. Oh yeah. Mama went on some trips with Bobby, and he did. He could go down there. He could preach in Spanish. You know, he had his ministry. He'd preach down there in Spanish and go down there and sing in Spanish, which just blew my mind.
I never knew that.
Well, if I understand right, and Anna Marie's gonna probably correct me, but I believe he taught himself just so he could do that,
Really?
just for those mission trips. And Mama went with him on one of them down there. It's pretty impressive what he did, you know.
And that is for sure.
It really is.
I'll tell you a funny story about a microphone. Herman's Hermits played in Memphis when I was about 17 years old. And I had a classmate named Lydia Barker, and she absolutely loved Herman's Hermits. And, you know, the singer was Peter Noon. And she went to the concert, and of course, everybody thought Peter Noon was Herman because he did all the singing.
Right.
And so after the concert, Lydia jumps up on stage and takes his microphone off the stand, steals it, and put it in her pocket, and walked out of there. When she came home, she gave it to me. So I sang through Herman Hermits and the microphone for the next 10 or 12 years.
When you were making the rounds in that time period, were there any guys you got to know real well that went big?
Yeah, Steve Azar.
Oh yeah, Steve. I love Steve.
Steve used to play with us at the Junction.
So so I don't know if you know this. I'm sure you do. But the last night, Mike Ellis, the last night of the Junction is a thing of legend. I mean, people still talk about the night the Junction closed, and that people were standing on the tables to hear y'all play in there. I still hear that story.
It was crowded and it was hot. Man, it was hot in there. Woo.
I think all the bars back then were hot. I was a little too young. We're talking about late 80s, 88, 89, somewhere in there. I was a little too young to be able to go, but I remember people talking about it. We're going to see Mike Ellis at the Junction. It's the last night.
I think a lot of people in there were too young to go.
They probably were.
Now, people today tell me all the time they used to come to the Junction and hear us, and they'd say, I wasn't old enough to get in, but Grindle let me in.
I went to the Country Music Palace one time, and I want to say I was about 16, but you had to be 21 to get in the Country Music Palace, not because a lot of places let you in at 18, but they just would stamp your hand and not serve you alcohol. And I wasn't even 18, and I went with Alan Powell. I'm finna throw Alan under the bus. You know Alan up at Clarksdale?
I don't think so.
And so we go to the Country Music Palace, and he says, you just follow my lead. And we get up there, and that guy looks at me because I was 16, looked about 12. And that guy said, is he old enough to be in here? He said, yeah, he's 23. And he looked at me and said, are you 23? I said, I am. And they took my money and let me right in the Country Music Palace. And David Allen Coe was playing that night. We saw David Allen Coe at the Country Music Palace, and that was crowded too.
Yeah, I remember when he played there.
He did a good bit. Percy Sledge. They had some good acts in that place.
Yeah, they did.
And you imagine Percy Sledge playing in there for all those rednecks, and they loved it. They just loved it.
Oh, yeah.
He was a showman. Who all playing with y'all now?
Well, you may remember Bill Harlow.
Oh, yeah.
He's been playing drums now with us for about 30 years. He has the Texaco oil lube business in Clarksdale. And then two guys from Cleveland. One is Ricky Stone. He works for Energy there. He's our lead guitar player. And Hayes Moore. His grandparents used to own and operate the Hayes Marie.
So what's the Hayes Marie?
It was a gambling joint.
Oh, it sounds like a gambling joint.
Yeah, on 61 south of Cleveland, on the south end of Cleveland on Highway 61.
The Hayes Marie.
Yeah.
How long ago
I
was that?
guarantee your daddy would have known about it.
You didn't ever play there, did you?
No, they didn't have any entertainment. It was just
Gambling.
Yeah, card games and whatever else they had. I don't remember. I only went in there one time.
The Hayes Marie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's getting into some history I didn't know anything about.
Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, it's a church now.
I do. This is the Mississippi Delta. I absolutely believe it. They'll put a church at the parts store here. It's got a church in it now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
When y'all were on the road traveling, what's the go-to stop for food? Were y'all trying to pinch pennies back then, or did you get to eat some good food? Or?
Yeah, well, we usually ate at home before we ever left, but a lot of times out at Country Music Palace at Vaden, after we got through, there was a pretty big truck stop there.
Oh, 35, 55
Yeah.
Truck Plaza.
And we'd go in there and eat breakfast sometimes.
What about it? Did they kind of feed y'all when y'all went to Germany? I guess they took care of you.
Yeah, they did.
They just
They
at
furnished
the mess
us-
hall or something like that.
Yeah, wherever. We stayed in guest houses, what they call a guest house, a good bit, which is owned by a private man and woman, or maybe a lady, and she's got rooms upstairs for people to stay, and then a restaurant and maybe a pub downstairs. So the beer was so common over there. I mean, every building you went in served beer almost. But they had the pub.
Which was fine with y'all, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it worked out. And they served a lot of dark beer too.
Oh yeah, real German lager kind
yeah,
of stuff.
Yeah. I never did really develop a taste.
I don't
for it.
think I can drink the German lager. I don't
Yeah.
think that's not my thing.
No, me either. But we'd eat at night after we got through playing and drink the beer and have a good time.
Was it like beer and sausage like you think of when you think of Germany? Was it a lot of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, there's a lot of sausage over there.
Yeah.
And we did go to one festival over there. I don't remember what. I guess maybe it was a beer festival. I don't know, but it was a lot of people, and they had people doing the polka, all dressed up in their festival attire.
It had to leave some kind of impression on you, though, in that time period. I guess 81, Reagan had just become president, and you had the wall there and such a stark, like you saw it in real life, what we all saw on TV, the difference between East Germany and West Germany.
It was bad.
I mean,
And those people were practically starving on the east side of that wall, and they were so desperate to try to get over that wall and get back into West Germany.
does
And a
that?
lot of them had families and still had family in West Germany.
Oh, yeah, they just split the wall, and
Yeah.
wherever you were, that's where
Wherever
you were.
you landed, that's where you stayed.
That had to leave an impression. I mean, you were, what, 29 you said at the time? That had to leave an impression on you about politics and
Oh, yeah.
communism and that kind of thing at that age, to see that in real life.
It dawned on me that Germany and Russia have to build walls to keep people from leaving. We have to build a wall to keep people from coming in.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That, to me, that's all you need to know about the two systems of government.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory.
It's not a good thing.
Well, one day we did take the bus down to the Austrian border. The commander told us, they said, "I'll get 1 day a week off." We played like 6 days a week, and most of the time 2 shows a day.
That's pretty work. That's work.
Yeah, it was. But he said, "This 1 day that y'all are off, you can take the bus anywhere you want to as long as you stay in the country. Don't get out of Germany." And so I wanted to go to Austria, and we talked the bus driver into taking us to the border of Austria. And we parked and got out and walked on into Austria. And so at least we can say we visited
Did you just
countries
walk
over.
across, come right back, or did y'all go into
We
town?
mingled around a little bit over there.
Was it nice?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
It-
Beautiful country over there.
It is pretty. The picture's pretty. Again, I've never been there.
Yeah. So much of Germany had to be reforested after the war.
Oh, they just leveled everything, didn't they?
Yeah, and a lot of the area had been replanted in trees, and but they did a good job. And they were.
What do you think about what's going on in farming? What advice would you have for somebody that's starting out in this business right now?
I believe I'd hold off as long as I could as far as actually farming myself. I might work for somebody else. I would say get all the experience you can while working for somebody else before you start doing it on your own, and try to do that maybe until commodity prices go up. So.
Yeah, because I got a nephew working for me now, and I think that's kind of what he's got on his mind. Because we talked about, do we find some land for him? And I think he said, I'm happy the way it is for right now.
Yeah.
He wants to farm for himself for sure.
And I think that's a good idea, because it'll change.
It will.
Prices will go back up. It's all been cyclical through the years.
It has.
So my advice would be just hold off until prices get better.
What about the guys that are in the thick of it? Just hold on the best you can.
Yeah, that's about all. You just cut expenses in every way
Don't take
possible.
a bunch of trips.
Yeah. Don't buy the new cars and new pickups.
That's a fact.
No equipment. They try to make do with what you got, what's paid for.
Somebody was in the restaurant a little while ago, and they said next week in Arkansas, in 7-day period, there's something like 13 sales in 7 days in Arkansas next week.
Woo.
Isn't that crazy?
People going out of business.
Well, a lot of quote unquote retirement sales, and I do think some of that's retirement. I think some guys just went, you know what? I'm good with the money I got. I don't have to risk it. Let's just not buy out now. For the next few years.
You know, if a man's got the means to retire, I think it'd be a good idea at this time.
It can't. I mean, why keep risking it if you can? You know, I don't have the means to retire, so I'm gonna have to keep sticking it out.
Yeah.
But I got a ways to go, unfortunately.
You're doing one thing that's a good idea to me is the no-till farming. The less money you spend on diesel fuel, that's money ahead.
I bought a tractor last year, and I really wanted a track machine just so I could do a better job no-till.
Yeah.
Because that old gumbo we farm, you go through with a regular tire tractor planting it, and that's when you make the biggest mess in the spring planting.
A track machine works great on that kind of land.
It does, and you know my place, that stuff's soft.
Yeah.
It's soft. Because we got these combines, got the big floats on them and all of that. And we had a couple of fields last year, we knew we were going to no-till. So I just had John Williams stay on the turn road with the grain cart where we could dump and not put him in, because we didn't want all those tracks mashing the roads down.
Right.
Because you can see it in the year. You can see the beans doing that.
Yeah.
And I kept looking at it. I'm like, what am I looking at? And when we cut down the road, it's hard to figure out. But when we cut at an angle on it, that's the tracks or the tires off that grain cart. The compaction of the soil, and the beans are shorter in that compacted spot. So I said, well, let's try to keep that thing up on the turn road where we're going to no-till.
Right.
But it's a different kind of farming, but I think it can save a lot of money for sure.
Yeah, track machine is great on that heavy land.
Did you miss the sales part of the farming business?
Yeah, I did. I do. I enjoyed the work I did and the people I worked with and sold to. I really didn't want to quit, but there just came a time when
I understand.
it was time to go, you know.
I remember one year in particular, I don't know why I always think about this, but right up there on the farm, I had some rice, and you can't see because we're sitting down, he is a lot taller than I am, and that rice was up to here. It was up to your chest on you, and it was almost blue looking, and that was before hybrid rice, and I still think that little 40-something acres is the best field of rice I ever had, but I remember you checked it every week for me.
Yeah.
because I didn't have a consultant back. That's when I first started. I didn't have a consultant. And I remember you checking that rice every week. And man, that rice just made for some reason.
It didn't lay down, did it?
Not an acre. We got it all dry.
Oh,
got
good.
it out. And I just remember you walking out in it and coming out that rice. I said, I think it'd be over my head.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's up to here on you.
Yeah.
That rice would be over my head. But it was that, is we just timed that fertilizer, and really I say we, but you timed that fertilizer so perfect that I've never seen rice be that green.
Yeah.
And it was just like blue. And I think that was cocodrie.
Probably.
I might be wrong
good
about that, but
chance.
it made like,
That-
you know, if I say on here, people will say I'm lying, but I think and this is just 45 acres now. We had a whole bunch more. But I think that cocodrie made like 217 bushels on that 40
Really?
acres.
Woo.
It was crazy. Now, the rest of my rice was still really, really good, but it
Yeah.
wasn't near. But I think to this day, that's the best dried out rice I ever cut.
Wow. And they're probably graded good too.
Oh, yeah, that cocodrie always graded
Yeah.
good. But we always did good on the grading part because we had our own bins and we could kind of
Yeah.
we dried a lot with air instead of heat,
Right.
and it dried out
Yeah,
better.
that helps a
We could
lot.
cut it a little higher moisture.
Yeah.
Because you carry it to the elevator now, and if it's anywhere close to 18, they just rob you so bad.
Oh, I know it.
It's just, well, and that's not, I don't know if it's robbing, they just don't want it. That's what
Yeah.
it boils down to. They
Yeah.
do not want you to bring that. And all of these,
They can't mix it in the bins with their dry rice.
they can't, and they don't really want, you know, it's hybrid. You can't really cut it unless it's about 18 and a half. It's the best place to cut that hybrid. And I hadn't done any hybrid in a couple of years. You know, we hadn't farmed any rice, but we're going to farm some this coming year,
Yeah.
is the plan. And you can't get any hybrid anyway, so I'm probably going to plant, you told me about the nutrient varieties
Right.
last year,
Yeah.
or year before last.
The year before last.
I think we're going to plant some of that
That's
this
a good variety. It's done well.
year. And it's
It's
not near as expensive as the
hybrid rice.
hybrid rice, which is,
Yeah, and it'll yield about along with the hybrid.
I don't understand the way they do that hybrid, because they are always not a little short, they're always way short on seed. I don't know why they don't. Is it a,
Well, they are trying not to have to carry over any.
I understand that, but man,
But yeah, you're right.
it looked like they would, I mean, they very seldom you can get what you got the year before sometimes. And when I was planting a bunch of it, I could always get it.
Yeah, the grades on the hybrid varieties have gotten a lot better.
Have they?
Yeah.
At first, it was pretty sketchy.
Oh, yeah, it was. But they've finally bred a better quality of grain. And so it's grading out a lot better now than it
That's
used
good. Because it really was. It was a problem
to. Yeah, oh, yeah.
in the beginning. Well, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Unless you
me
got some
too.
more stories you want to tell us. I
Oh.
know there's some good ones.
I don't know. I probably would think of something if we kept on talking.
Well,
But I don't know.
well, the whole thing about Conway Twitty's mama and her having a club up there, and I feel like I should know that. And for those who don't know, Conway Twitty's from Friars Point. Is that right?
Well, Moon
Or
Lake,
right in that area, it's Friars Point,
Friars
Moon
Point,
Lake.
Moon Lake.
That's a cool area for history. I did a review in Friars Point, and like Charles Lindbergh crash landed in Friars Point one time.
Really?
And
I
Al
didn't know that.
Capone used to come through there and hide out from the cops in
Oh.
Friars Point. There was a gambling hall there too.
Yeah.
And trying to think, and there's a couple blues guys that are from there too that are real well known. And then Conway Twitty's from over in that area. And then you don't go far over to a Sledge, and then there's Charlie Pride.
Yeah.
You know, I fed
right.
right before Charlie Pride died. He played at the not the Belonging Foreign Arts Center, the Grammy Museum.
Yeah.
And I fed Charlie Pride, and we went over there and cooked for Charlie Pride's family and him in the green room. And Elizabeth High School cooked for the front up there for all the patrons. And they said, well, look, they just want some soul food. And I said, that's what we do.
Yeah.
So we went over there and cooked for Charlie Pride. And right before that, cooked for Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
So I made fried ribs. And I said, what's Garth Brooks like to eat? And they said, you know, they didn't say this, but Garth Brooks liked fat boy food like me. So he got, this is true. That day they fed him pizza and Chick-fil-A for lunch. That's what he wanted.
Pizza and
And
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. And then that night, we gave him fried rib, turnip greens, and I can't remember. I think mashed potatoes, just good old country cooking, you know.
That's country boy food.
And I thought, well, he wanted fried pork chops or something like that. And I said, can I do him fried ribs? Because he never met me, although we passed in the hallway. And that was a real weird deal because they told us, look, you technically work for the museum right now.
Yeah.
So one of the rules is, and I had the lanyard where I could get backstage and all of that. And they said, but you're not supposed to speak to talent. That's just a rule. He didn't say that. That's just a rule they have. And so I've always been a fan. And so I passed Garth Brooks in the hall, and all I can do is, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
I just went on. But I said, I probably just stopped and talked to him because you could tell he didn't care. But I said, well, I had told him that's what I mean, they made you sign a piece of paper saying that, I'm a representative for the museum and I wouldn't stop and talk to it or any talent. They didn't say Garth Brooks. They said, I don't stop and talk to the talent. But that was a big deal when he came. But Charlie Pride and them, they just let us right on back.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to talk to him. I talked to his family, though.
Garth Brooks came to Sumner one time.
Really?
He sure did. I met him.
Was he duck hunting?
No, he was there with the school system. He went to the West District School and talked to them about reading. In fact, I think he actually did read some to them.
How long ago was this?
Oh, it's been 20
a while
20
back.
years ago.
Okay. Because this was some kind of education thing that he was doing with the Grammy, but the Grammy Museum wasn't there 20 years ago.
No, this was a good 20, maybe 25 years
Well, he
ago.
was sure enough famous then.
Oh, yeah. But I talked to him just like we're talking right now. He's a friendly guy.
Well, that's what I could tell. He just had a ball cap on. And I didn't want to be weird about it, so I just nodded and went on and did my work. That was a fun time. And like I said, Elizabeth High School cooked for everybody else. And so I sat back in the back. They fried shrimp in the parking lot because they don't have a kitchen. They don't have a catering kitchen in the museum, which you think they would. So it really was good for her because she has all that catering stuff. And we all stood in the back and ate fried shrimp while they were frying shrimp. And I don't even remember what I've made for Charlie Pride and them, but I think I did the same thing I did for Garth Brooks. But that was one of the people I wish I had got to meet with Charlie Pride. I was always a big Charlie Pride fan.
Me too. And we've played a lot of Charlie Pride songs, but I never met him. Even as close as we were to each other at times, I never got to meet him.
Well, he didn't live. He was in pretty bad shape then, but he was still playing.
Yeah.
But I don't think he lived but about a year after that thing at the museum, and then he passed away. This was pre-COVID. This was 2019. He passed away somewhere in there. But that was, to me, the Charlie, as big a fan as I was of Garth Brooks way back in the day, it was cooler to me to meet Charlie Pride, I would have thought, just because of his Mississippi roots and the songs he sang.
Yeah.
And he had a song called Cotton Picking Mississippi Delta Town.
Yeah.
So the guy that wrote that was also from Sledge, but he was born in Drew.
Oh.
I can't remember his name, but I looked up Charlie Pride because, I was going to see if there's any news articles about what he wanted to eat or whatever. And then I saw the guy that wrote the song, Cotton Picking Mississippi Delta Town.
Mississippi Cotton Picking
That's
Delta
it.
Town. Yeah.
That's the one.
We used to play that.
I could play it on the guitar one time, and but I looked it up and it had his name, so I clicked it and it said Born Drew, Mississippi, and I went, never even heard that before.
I haven't.
That's on Wikipedia. It could be wrong, but then he grew up in Sledge.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, he knew all about a cotton picking Delta town too. If he grew up Born and Drew grew up in Sledge, he definitely knew. That's a good little song.
Yeah, it is.
And I think one time there, Charlie Pride had more #1 hits than anybody in country music ever had.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And then Conway Twitty was right on it.
Yeah.
So
Conway's always been right there at the top.
he had, it's Conway, every song he sang was about women.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
He had one or two that wasn't, but for the most part, he had one thing going on in his music.
He and Loretta had some good hits
They did.
together.
They really did. That was I do like. It seems like country music is kind of coming back around to that kind of music. I don't know if I'm crazy.
I think you're right. I could see it starting to make a curve, kind of about to make full circle.
Have you heard this Culture Wall guy?
I don't think so.
You need to go listen to him because he is like 25. He's like my daughter's age, and he sounds like a 70-year-old man. And he plays a lot of the old country western stuff.
Yeah.
And he's got this deep, gravelly, cigarette, bourbon-soaked voice, and he's 20-something years old. I don't,
I
can
may
play
have.
the guitar.
I think I saw him on TV on a country western show one time.
He might have done something with Yellowstone. I know they played some of his music before, but he's good. And then they've got another young guy that sounds like Ricky Skaggs. I can't think of his name, but he sounds just like, and he's from Washington, and Culture Wall's from Canada. But they're all going back to those 1970s mustaches and that outlaw kind of bluesy music. And Chris Stapleton is just incredible.
Yeah.
I love listening to him. So there's some good music going on out there for sure.
I like the rendition he did of George Jones's song, Tennessee Whiskey.
That's a good one.
We do that, but we play the George Jones version.
And didn't David Allen Coe actually write that?
I
Or am
think
I
he
crazy?
did.
I think he did
May
too.
have.
And he had on one of his albums too. But yeah, his version's completely different than what him and what David Allen Coe and George Jones did. He's so good. Everything that he does is good. I mean, a couple years ago he sang the national anthem at the Super Bowl, and that was incredible. Just anything he does is so good.
Yeah, he's very talented.
He is. I think it's some really good country stuff. Have you heard Red Stray Clays?
No.
You would like them. They sound like a 1950s kind of rockabilly country.
Yeah.
You would really like them. And that guy's voice is so unique.
I hear a lot of rockabilly entertainers coming out.
They
now.
really are. And that's exactly, they even kind of have they kind of look, his hair's all slick back like Elvis, kind of, Roy Orbison or something like that.
Right.
Or Conway, Conway had that slick back look. He kind of looks like that. And then he's just got this real unique voice. I don't know what the lead singer's name is, but Red Clay Strays. And it's crazy because that's such an old sound, but all the young guys love him.
Is he dressed in like a short sleeve shirt? And
That's him.
Black pants. And
A lot of times. He kind of looked like Elvis a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know that was his name, but I have seen him.
That's the band, Red Clay Strays. They're
on
amazing.
social media, yeah.
So I got a lot of hope for music going forward. Mr. Mike, I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
I
sir.
enjoyed it too.
This was a lot of fun.